pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this evening. Thank you for this time to be together, and thank you for the opportunity to serve you and to serve this community. And we just pray for your wisdom and your guidance this evening, and there will be things that would be presented to us just like any other time where we have opportunities to make decisions that hopefully reflect your love for this community and reflect the best interests for this community. And there may be decisions that are difficult, but to help us to seek your wisdom and to find comfort in knowing that none of this is ours, it's all yours, and help us to be good stewards of what is yours. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. All right, Jan, if you would, roll call.
Bob Wedding.
Here.
Jason Brewer.
Here.
Tim Heiss.
Here.
Joe Frias.
Here.
All right. Trust you've had the opportunity to review the consent agenda. And if there's no questions or comments, I would entertain a motion for approval.
I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
We have a first, we have a second.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those approved, or consent agenda approved as presented, I should say. And we do have presenters earlier on the docket this time, so ABM, good to see you guys again. Is there anything you guys wanted to address before we turn it over to council and seeking their input?
No, I think just if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely, please.
Just want to thank everyone for their time. You know, we really appreciate everybody coming in out of council time to spend and learn about the project. And you know, a really, really big thanks to Steve for everything that he's done. He's been fantastic to work with. And you know, it seems like we're heading in a really good direction and just looking for the council's approval on the project. So, you know, that's really all. So we're excited to be here once again. And you know, if anybody has any questions, be sure to answer them. But yeah, just looking for approval for the project from the council.
Very good.
Okay.
I appreciate your flexibility and your guys'
Absolutely.
diligence.
Yep, absolutely.
Guys, I'll open it up to you. I know Brandon, keep Brandon your thoughts and prayers. Certainly he's been ill, and so that's why he's not here with us this evening. But I think you guys, if each one of you had a chance to meet with them at one point or another. Yep. Okay. So,
I have all the questions about them.
What's that, Bob?
I said pretty much had all my questions out, at that point.
Okay. Okay. What questions, thoughts, comments?
My only concern is that it's 230,000 foot for me at this point. I need to see some actual real numbers, like all the numbers, invoices, or like specific quotes, because that's in my world. That's what I operate off of. We nitpick pennies, and so that's kind of how my mind works. And this is it's a nice overview, but that's a lot of money to talk about without having very specific numbers on the costs of the various items in the project.
Okay.
And I don't vote for any contract that I can't read. If when I can read a contract, I'll vote for it or make my decision.
We sent the contract over. I believe Steve has forwarded that to all the council members over a week ago. Pretty sure, Steve, is that?
Yeah. But I'd like to say it doesn't. I like itemization on all the. Tell me how much this roof is going to cost, how much this solar project's going to cost specifically, all not lumped.
Okay.
Has it been projects like this that you've done before? Have you piecemealed it out in terms of like present a portion up front, or not really?
Generally, when we build the projects, is a holistic approach. We go to our suppliers and subcontractors for the best possible numbers and put together a package, because there's an interconnectivity of things, right? So if we take this out, you still have to, we don't say how much is it to project manage just this, and how much is it for just that, and how much does it work for, and how much the savings associated with just that. It takes the project in a totally different direction. Through the legislation, you do a comprehensive approach, which encompasses all the different assets, and which we graded and went through and showed you all those. We get one price from the solar sub to do all the subs, and they're all different applications. Some are ground mount, some are roof mount, some are, and the infrastructure to support them is all different. So we don't put them together that way. We don't build them like a bid spec mentality where you say, here's the engineer, he made a specification, bid to this specification, how much is that particular item in that specification? We look at it in a holistic approach because we take all the risk for any change orders, anything that might occur, and we bid it accordingly, because we implement it all at once as well. So we order the equipment all at once and we put it together. So that's normally, Mayor, how we structure these deals and how we build them through the performance of the overall project.
Gotcha. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
My other question about that is, okay, so your guarantee of performance is based on what in terms of how is that financed and guaranteed to us? I mean, in terms of...
So it's guaranteed in the contract as it relates to the savings profile and the purchase price of the project in its entirety.
Right.
So there's no change orders on the agreed upon
Right,
scope.
I get that.
So that's part of that.
I'm just talking
guarantee.
about if you're, what do we have to show that your company has the ability to make good on that promise, I guess, is the simplistic term.
Well, we're licensed, bonded, and insured. We're a Fortune 50 corporation, and we do these projects all over the world.
Okay,
And we
I guess the
any-
question, so we have, in the building materials business, we have various products that come with various warranties. A lot of warranties say you got a roof, your guy comes to put a roof on your house.
Yeah,
And
okay.
he says, I have a limited lifetime shingle.
Yes, sir.
The company didn't back that.
Right.
They have warranty insurance that they purchase.
Right, so you've
So
got a
that's
30-year and a 35-year on your roofing materials.
we have a limited lifetime on stuff now, but that's all based on what the insurance has determined that people only stay in their houses for an average of 7 years, so they're just banking on the.
Yeah, residential is a little bit different.
I know,
But
yeah.
but yeah.
But yes,
But any manufacturer's warranties and guarantees would convey
right,
at the
yeah.
at the completion of the project. Sure, absolutely.
But I mean, you're guaranteeing a level of energy efficiency.
We're guaranteeing
So I think,
the performance.
yeah,
the
so to
performance.
the energy and the performance aspect of it. So
Right.
we have done a baseline measurement and verification. We had an M&V team, and so we will, and that actually, once we start moving forward, the M&V team comes back out here and we extensively, so we get all of our baseline
What's the
numbers.
MNV team, please?
Measurement and verification.
Yep.
So, yeah.
So, and then once the project is finished, completed, that measurement and verification team comes back out, they continue to monitor it, and so then based off of that, we can tell exactly what those energy savings are. If we do miss those energy savings, ABM actually cuts the city a check. So it truly is guaranteed, and that is using the GESC legislation, so Guaranteed Energy Savings Contract legislation through the state of Indiana. And to be on that, we are pre-registered as a GESC provider, and to do that, we also have to be registered as a designer and a general contractor as well. So we have all the certifications and registrations for the state and through that GESC legislation.
But the guarantee is spelled out in the contract as well as to what that is and how it plays. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, legal's reviewed the contracts as well.
That is correct.
Okay. So all that's been reviewed and vetted as well.
So just my thought is going to be a quick summary, made easy, trying to serve the public so they understand what's going on. So we have a number of installations in Union City government, Union City government.
And these are buildings. We're talking about the water.
City Hall.
City Hall.
Wastewater treatment.
Wastewater treatment
North and
plant.
South water plant. Fire department.
Okay. And some of them have roofs that are at the limit of their sort of estimated life. We actually have a leak in here in this building over on the museum side. We have a number of water heaters and the different, what can you mention real quick, the different types of things that we looked at?
Yeah, your building envelopes for your windows, your doors, the roofs, then the lighting, the HVAC in all the building, in the buildings that we just spoke of. And obviously the solar is the big part where, we're taking a wastewater treatment facility like off the grid essentially.
Okay, so basically they looked at all of the physical installations and sort of infrastructure in the city's installations for heating and all of these other things. And sort of examined, we know that some of them are old, that some of them need replaced, some of them need upgraded, some of them don't even have a place that will sell us spare parts to fix because they're that old. So we need to do an upgrade, and these are things that we may perhaps don't need to do them right away, right now, but that we will be doing them in the years to come. And so what these gentlemen are proposing is that we use their services, and what it turns out when you do all the analysis of the financials and everything, it turns out that it'll be the same amount that we generally spend on maintenance and upgrading little by little. That cost that we have to pay anyway goes into this project. But the added value that we get back is that after of the 20 years of the project, that we will have solar panels installed as part of it in a way that will reduce the city's cost from thenceforward. In terms of, we won't have to pay an energy bill or very little of it. We may even be able to sell some of that back to A&M, right?
Yep.
So we're also talking about the streets downtown. We want to have them all the same style. We don't want any bright lights that do overkill and blind people as they're trying, like me, trying to drive down the road. So sort of what is the term? Just make them all the same in terms of how the intensity and the gentle light. So it sort of brings things together. It gives us what we need in terms of maintaining and improving those installations for the next several years, 20 plus, and at the end of that, then we will have a substantial cost reduction moving forward on that. So just so you know, that's the proposal. No additional, in principle, no additional costs as going forward, because these are all costs that we were going to do anyway. Now they're going to take care of them, and at the end we get this extra benefit of having fewer costs or lower costs after the project is over. So that's kind of why I'm leaning towards supporting this.
Great. Yeah, I mean, Tito, you hit the nail on the head. Really. I think just to piggyback off of what Tito said, I think right now the city is in, when we talk with Steve a lot about this, is when something comes up, you fix it. And I think what this has given the city the opportunity with the growth that you're already experiencing, this is giving you an opportunity to get out ahead of things, and start focusing on other things other than your infrastructure when you have a leak in the city hall building. It's not something you're going to have to worry about anymore. And then the solar is going to really help the city from a financial perspective on your electric bill, taking multiple buildings off of the grid. So, but yeah, Tito, you really did a great job summarizing that.
Thank you. I do have a question now that I thought through. What is you've done this in other places, so how do you all interact with city employees? I'm thinking, okay, if you all are taking care of certain maintenance and whatever, that means certain of our current employees may not be doing that. So how does that work?
I'll let Joe answer that. He's got a lot of
So
experience.
the things that we'd be addressing are not the things that they're addressing on a daily basis, right? Their input is on an ongoing basis through the implementation of the project, with project schedule meetings and where we're going to be and what we're going to be doing. But the things that we're going to be touching, they're mostly things that you would have to farm out, like a roof job or something along those lines, or a furnace or those types of things. You usually would go outside to bring and procure those and bring those in, right? So I don't think it's going to impact them, other than it may give them some time to do some other deferred maintenance items that they haven't had a chance to get to, because we've got the streetlights covered, as an example. But that's a pretty small part, and I don't want to speak to, that's probably more in Steve's camp as to how those folks are utilized, but I don't see it being a big time draw from them, other than to make sure they give us access to the facilities, and they're there when they know what we're doing when we're doing it, so we don't disrupt day-to-day operations first and foremost.
Yeah, and ABM's been here for 4 months now, so our personnel's already familiar with them, and they're becoming more familiar with our facilities, so they know where to go, they know what they're looking at, so I wouldn't anticipate any issues at all.
Bob, Jason, do you guys have any questions?
No, you may have already answered this. So the contract's probably written in a way where you can't just focus on these things that are rated D's and F's, correct? This is all you said encompassing with.
Yeah, but I think it was D's and F's that we pulled into the contract. With the A, B's, and C's, we left alone. We just focused on the immediate needs.
Okay.
For sure. So that's the right question. We also, there's also another big advantage here that I don't want to just kind of glaze over. Everybody's seen what's happening to the cost of money and supplier chain, demand services, and on all the materials and what's going on. So you've got a great opportunity right now to be good stewards and really kind of take care of it in today's dollars right now, today in real time, versus kicking the can, because it's not going to get any cheaper. Right. Tomorrow it's going to be more expensive to procure and get materials and goods and services, as well as the labor pool, in order to be able to implement these, because these are skilled laborers, right? Mm-hmm. So it's really at your advantage right here at your feet. So.
And just to your question too, there were even, at the fire hall, there's some unit heaters that were replaced within the past few years, so they were rated B, I believe. And that's to the point, you make a great point, we're actually reusing them. So there's a different infrared heat we would install at the fire hall. It's much more efficient for that type of place. Yeah. And it comes with the controls, so that application fits it. It's way more efficient. Mm-hmm. So you're gonna get some savings there. But we don't wanna waste those unit heaters that are there, so we're actually going to relocate them. So again, we're absolutely, and that's where it really is that all-encompassing approach, where we're not just addressing everything just to address everything. We want to be fiscally responsible for the city and use everything the best it can be used.
Good question.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. The one question I think Chad kind of mentioned about like a phase project, we could do like the A's, the B's, and then the D's or F's or whatever in phases rather than all at one time. But you kind of answered that with the cost, with the cost savings and everything, doing it all up front.
In today's dollars, your best advantage is to do it all now. Plus, you've got the demobilization and remobilization of project management resources and trying to schedule all of that. And every time we go do that, they look at each of them, because that's a different project, right? So you lose the economy of scale of having that project management all the way through from start to completion, right? If they got to go and then come back and they're trying to chase it, it really puts you at a disadvantage financially. Most times when we've done that for folks and we've penciled it out, it shows that it ends up costing more later because of permitting and chasing that stuff around and everything involved with it, the administrative process of that project.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So just a quick interpretation for the public, right? We were talking about D's and F's and A's and B's. They basically graded everything. The roof over here is an F. The roof over there is a B because it's pretty good. The water heater is an F because it's whatever. They're just different grades that they provided to every installation that they looked at. They did a whole list of them. And so that's what they're actually talking about. But building on that, I have a follow-up question. Sure. So if we're, because you said we're focusing on D's and F's,
Primarily.
awesome. But okay, what about our C's and B's and A's, which in the next 15 to 20 years may become D's and
Good
F's? So,
question. So we've got a category. What we've done is we've taken the engineers that came on site and spent 4 to 5 months here. We've categorized each asset that the city owns. So there's a plate identifying the manufacturer, date and time and style and type of equipment. And from that plate, we know what the efficiencies levels are. And we've also assessed their current condition and estimated when those are scheduled, should be replaced in the future. So you've got a tool now that'll help you with future planning and budgeting 15 years from now, 10 years from now, if and when those do need replaced, so you can plan for that. And number two is, we stand ready at any time to come back in, and you can do an additional phase on this primary contract and continue on that same path as well at a later date if you so desire.
And building on that too, just to clarify, so over 90% of the assets were in D or F.
oh, gotcha.
I don't want to quote the exact number, I can't remember.
That's
the exact.
okay. Better to know than.
But it's very substantial, which I think is where the scale of the project too, truly.
So tell me about like your presence. Like you all are from out of town, presumably. I'm guessing. Will you have a staff or
Yeah,
people?
well, a full-time project manager on the project, as well as a
Site
site superintendent to oversight that, and then our group maybe will be doing the mechanical aspects of things.
So these are people that you're bringing from outside, or
They're employees of ABM. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't have a branch immediately going to come across the border from Ohio.
Okay.
Yeah, but they're ABM.
You foresee hiring anybody locally?
I think there's some opportunity for some local trades that we're bringing on to do certain scopes of work. I think the roofing.
So the
is-
roof, we have found all local contractors. For the
contractors,
roof. So we do try and use local labor, sorry about that, wherever possible, absolutely.
That's good. Appreciate it.
Yep.
So my only other question is not really directed to you guys, it's more on the finance side, is where do we, Chad and Steve, where do we stand in terms of financing this? Because that's probably, to me, that's one of the keys in this whole thing, is because if you start figuring interest on this project, it gets pretty monumental in a 10, 15 year period of time. So and because we need to be able to remain, budget
close to
neutral
neutral as possible.
Yeah, because we really don't have any. Sorry,
No, you're good.
we really don't have any leeway on
Right.
budget at this
Right.
point, especially with some
Yeah.
other issues that we're going to talk about.
The leasing options, Tim, that they were presenting to us, doesn't have any effect or any bearing on our ability to bond in the future at all. And we haven't dug deep into that conversation just for the simple fact that I didn't know where you guys were going to go or what decisions you were going to make. They produced, I think, 4 or 5 different options.
Yeah, at the last meeting, the mayor asked us to.
Yeah, so those can be sent to you as well, but it's the project seems to be fundable.
We've got a pretty aggressive interest rate right now too, so as long as you make application pretty quickly, they'll lock that for you while you work out the terms of the financing that you'd like. And also tell you, because to Steve's point, he's absolutely correct, because municipal lease, you annually appropriate, so it doesn't go against your bond rating and doesn't count as that as your indebtedness, so you still have that ceiling, Tim, so that's a great question. The other thing is too, generally they're structured that your first payment is due after the project is completed. And we've got, 14 months? 14-month implementation process here. So it'll be well into mid-24 and on to 25 or 25. And so we're at 24 already. 25 before you would have your first payment due. So it gives you a lot of flexibility and breathing space that you don't normally get with like a different type of lending instrument. That's a great question too.
Yeah, like I say, one critical thing is it's just like a lot of things. Yeah. You need it, you want it, it's critical to have it, but if you don't have the dollars to cover it.
Yeah, I think we took, we followed the mayor's lead. We got multiple offers, so you've got some pretty aggressive numbers. I think that 5 points and change, a little higher south of that, or higher than that, or is right where it came in. The best one that I saw. You ultimately have the choice. And then I think we reached out to Holly. Someone reached out to Holly, made sure she was Heidi. Thank you. Made sure she was okay with the financial model and legal on the contract. So we've kind of worked it through the process here for you. Best we could to assist anyway you need us to.
And no other questions, I would open up to the floor at least for motion. If so moved.
So the next step is figuring out what kind of financing. Is that the next step, or what is the next step?
The next step would be for you all to approve the project. And then Steve, I'm assuming Steve, I'll put words in his mouth, someone from this office would make formal applications based on the estimates that you've received and go through that appropriation and the financing process through a municipal lease.
Through a municipal lease.
If that's what you so desire, correct. And that's the one that doesn't go against your bond rating to you, don't you get that flexibility to kick those payments out past the installation period of time. So you have to, C.I.S. comes out of pocket with no money, up until mid-25, which is phenomenal. You can't do that in any other instrument that I'm aware of. But I'm not a finance guy, and I'm not giving financial advice. But I did stay at a Holiday Inn last night.
Probably for real, didn't you? Agree?
It did.
Any thoughts? The worst case scenario, just being devil's advocate, they approve the project. We pursue what is the most viable funding route presented, and at the 11th hour, the funding route does not look viable for the city. Again, devil's advocate, worst case scenario, what happens then?
So there is actually, there is a financial clause in both the resolution that we presented last time, as well as the contract, that if funding absolutely cannot work, which we have.
We know it can, but again,
we know it
devil's
can,
advocate.
but if it does not work out, there is a clause in there for that.
30 days.
30 days.
Yep.
So there is a safety.
Right.
But you'll know well before then, and the truth of the matter is, we wouldn't have wasted your time and gone to the length and extent that we have and come forward as many times as we have if we thought that the project wasn't viable and or affordable, right? Because we only have so many resources to apply to an opportunity in a community as well, so we try to make sure we're talking to people that are ready, willing, and able.
Makes sense.
And able being, very optimum.
And truly, we have received wish lists, a giant wish list from multiple, whether it's a school, cities, counties, any form of municipality, and we have absolutely pared down on projects because it's up to us to present something that is fiscally responsible as well. So it has to be viable. We would not. We wouldn't do it otherwise. So absolutely. But yes, there is that safety.
Right. Appreciate that.
So, next step is a motion to accept the project pending a determination of financial viability.
Just selecting a financing route that is viable.
That is viable.
Yeah, in so many words, yes.
I need to read this book real quick. Okay, let's see what it's called. Gotta get the names right. not in here, is it? So I move that we, City Council, approve the proposal for ABM, right, to undertake this project. Of course, pending, assuming that the mayor and the city find a viable financing mechanism. Yes.
First on the floor, do we have a second? If not,
I'll second.
okay, we do have a second on the floor. Jan, if you would, roll call vote.
Bob Leahy?
Yes.
Jason Brewer?
Yes.
Tim Hines?
No.
Tito Frias?
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, thank you.
All right. Mayor's report, I don't have anything at the moment. Usually get asked about Halloween this time of year. Signs, got all the details on it out in the corner. Department, Eric, is there anything you wanted to cover while you're here?
I could readdress that ladder truck that we purchased.
Sure.
It's in service, got the graphics on it. We're just getting through some of the training, identifying all these little things that's wrong with a 26-year-old truck. There's nothing major to be concerned about, but when you don't use it, which they didn't, and now we do use it, some of the things like seals that have dried out are starting to leak, and you've got to replace that $10 seal or $20 seal, and that light that's not working. But otherwise, it's a nice upgrade. Engine 93 has technically been sold. We're still waiting on the final transaction to flip that thing, so I still have possession of it. But it's sold technically, and it's not in service anymore. So I'm hoping those details are worked out in the next week or two. I'm sure if you wrote a $450,000 check, you kind of want your truck, would be my guess. And,
I was going to ask if you got asking price for it. I know you talked about it, so I didn't know. Definitely.
I'm sorry, I only asked that because I sold it 6 times really in about 2 weeks. So I must have underpriced it. But for us, we was really happy to get that for it. I mean, given the price that you paid for it 4 years ago, I think that was phenomenal.
That's almost unheard of. That's almost unheard of outside of like certain John Deere equipment. That's amazing.
Right. So I would anticipate total, we spent $125 to purchase it. I believe I'll spend about $25 on all the miscellaneous equipment and that stuff, so I have about $150 in it. And if all goes well with the rural development, which we're still waiting on their answer, we should be able to pay that note off and the ladder and deposit some money in your bank account.
It's always good.
Very good. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Jane. All right. Council members. Peter, let's start with you.
Didn't have a lot, but I do have one thing, and I want to give people some information. Basically about elections. Local municipal elections in Indiana are coming up on November 7th. Tomorrow, folks, tomorrow, October 10th, is the last day to register to vote. If you have turned 18 and haven't registered to vote, tomorrow's your last day. If you're turning 18 on or before November 7th, you're eligible, and so go ahead and do that. If it's been a few years since you registered to vote and just want to make sure, that would be an awesome thing to do. I found 4 ways to register to vote listed in the Indiana government website. One is through the Indiana Bureau of Motor Vehicles. Another is at the clerk of the county court in Winchester, and they are open from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. tomorrow. Online, and you can download the form online as well and mail it in. I have posted that on my Tito Farias councilman page. But I mean, you can also Google it and you can find that through Indiana, IN.gov website. All Randolph County registered voters may vote at any vote center in Randolph County. The new vote centers have replaced the former voting polling places. As long as you're a registered voter from Randolph County, you can choose to vote at any of the vote centers from the list, and I'll read them off in a little bit. You still have to have a photo ID when you go vote. And of course, if you any questions, you can refer to the clerk of the county court. Vote centers: Randolph County Courthouse Lobby. It's at 100 South Street in Winchester. 100 South Main Street in Winchester. Trinity Lutheran Church, which is many years here in Union City. People have voted on here on 28. The 4-H Fairground. I think it's Husted. Am I pronouncing that right? Husted Hall. 1885 South US 27, Highway 27 in Winchester. The Union City Community Room. That's a new one. 103 North Columbia Street, Union City. That's in this building on that side, right?
Right.
Next to our museum, between the museum and the mayor's office. Where you pay your water bill. Instead of going into that door, it's the next door on the left, in case you didn't know. And the Calvary United Methodist Church, 200 South Portland Street in Ridgeville. So those 5 centers was where people can vote in Randolph County. If you're requesting to vote by mail, you have to apply by noon on Thursday, October 26th, so do it now. Absentee or early voting hours. At the Trinity Lutheran Church, it'll be 2 Saturdays. So Saturday, October 28th and Saturday, November 4th from 9 a.m. to 1. So opportunity for registered voters to go vote early. Trinity, both Saturdays, October 28th and November 4th at the Trinity Lutheran Church here in Union City. And you can also do absentee or early voting at the courthouse in Winchester, right? Monday through Friday, October 23rd, starting October 23rd through November 3rd, 9 to 12 and 1 to 4. Also, Saturday, the 2 Saturdays I mentioned before, October 28th and November 4th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. and Monday, November 6th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And of course, you can vote at any of the 5 vote center locations I mentioned earlier on November 7th. That is voting day.
Good call out. Tim?
I'd just like to thank the committee for the great work they did on the cruise in last Saturday.
Oh gosh, yeah.
The event was, of course, the weather was perfect.
Yeah.
The committee didn't have any control over that, obviously, but the weather was perfect. The event went off. I don't think they had a real hitch in the whole thing, did they, Steve?
No, sir.
And I also like to thank all the city departments and Steve also for the assistance that they gave the group. I think that kind of collaboration puts on a great event, and I think more to come. They had, I believe, 172 cars.
176, I think.
176. The numbers kind of fluctuated around a little bit as they've detected more, but
So the more showed up there,
and there were 4 events happening that day in the immediate area.
Yep.
In the area, so great turnout, a lot of great response from people, and I think it's a great addition to all the various activities we do through the year. So, looking forward to the spring event.
And they've already got next year's plant slated for next year already.
Yes,
Yeah.
I can't quote the dates, but there's spring and fall at June.
Yeah, I
June
didn't
and September.
really pay attention to the dates, but there'll be one in June and one again in September.
That is awesome. Yeah, they did a phenomenal job.
Pretty good event for being only the 3rd event that they've done. So,
Yeah, because it keeps getting bigger.
so great
Good
time.
call-out. Jason?
Yeah, speaking of cars, our last Cars and Coffee, unfortunately, this Saturday, the 14th, if weather holds out for us. Won't have 176, but maybe one day. We're lucky to get 20, 21. Makes me happy, but
It's a lot of coffee.
yeah, a lot of coffee.
Good,
Well,
good
your total
removal.
number kind of comes up to that, so, through the whole year.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And Bob, anything?
I don't have anything.
All right, no worries. Thank you. Steve. All right. And Josiah's not here this evening, so old business ordinance 2023-14, which is the salary ordinance on the second reading. There's been no amendments to that since then, correct? Well, obviously we can't approve anything, but there's been no proposed changes, so it is as it was on the first reading. Are there any other questions or comments on that? If not, I would entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move to approve ordinance 2023-14 salary ordinance on second reading by title only.
We have first, we have a second.
I'll second.
Jan, if you would, roll call vote.
Bob Leahy?
Yes.
Jason Brewer?
Yes.
Tim Heiss?
Yes.
Peter Freas?
Here, yes.
Here. Second. That's good. Second versing was the first with ordinance 2023-15, which are the budget estimates. This also is on the second reading. This also has had obviously no changes since the first approval. Would entertain any questions or comments, and if there are none, I would entertain a motion.
I'll move we accept ordinance 2023-15 budget estimates, second reading.
We have first, we have a second.
I'll second.
Jan, if you would, once again.
Bob Leahy?
Yes.
Jason Brewer?
Yes.
Tim Heiss?
Yes.
Peter Freas?
Yes.
All right, retirement village facade grant. There's been a tweak to this, correct, Steve?
It went up from what the proposal was,
Okay.
or what was proposed to us from the group. The invoice total was more than what was originally proposed. I didn't catch that. Jan caught it. So I just need to know what council chooses to do.
So the options are do nothing and have them assume the rest, or make up a difference of roughly 3,300.
Correct.
Somewhere now, yeah.
I didn't do the math.
I didn't either.
We'd already approved
The original was 7919.
No, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's the,
I mean, the original was 47. Sorry,
56.
4756. Thank you. And the new is 7919
Yeah.
and 27 cents. So $3,163.27 is the difference. So that would be the difference to still equate to a 50% matching facade grant.
So it's not the difference, it's what we were proposing to fund.
Yeah, the additional, yes, because you've already, is it already submitted the 40?
No, this is,
Oh.
they've just paid the bill. The work's just now done.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
You guys approved this back in the middle of the
For
summer,
47.56.
and they just got the work done. They dropped the invoice off at the front desk, and I gave it to Jan to pay because I knew it was already passed and approved. But then she caught the fact that the invoice was more than what
Gotcha.
the original estimate was.
I got you.
So our 50% was of a lower estimate,
Correct.
and so now we want 50% of this higher one.
So it's either A,
Oh, I see.
stick with the pre-approved 4756 and submit the check for that, or make a new motion for the full 7919.27.
I think people who have applied, we've been generally following the 50% rule. Their actual invoice came in higher than expected. Still well within our limit, which is 10,000, right?
Correct.
Yep.
So I move that we fund them for 50% of their actual amount, which you said was 3, but we would.
Well, yeah, just make a new motion for that amount. 7919.27.
So 50% of 7.
No, that would be the amount, because that's 50% of the
Oh.
15,838.
15,838.
Okay.
54.
So I propose we fund, we provide a facade grant to the retirement village in the amount of $7,919.27.
We have a first on the floor. Do we have a second?
I would normally prefer some heads up on a situation like this, but that was a little bit of a fluid project in terms of what it was. There's some unknowns involved in it.
Right. I think they ended up going deeper, and I think they
had to go deeper.
Yep. So
I've heard some details on that, so.
It did
I will-
say in the original bid that that was one of the issues.
Yeah.
No.
So, and,
well, it's the condos. Yeah.
Oh, God.
we're
This is the
sufficient
detention
funding
fund.
still in the facade grant.
Yeah, the side grant,
I'll second Tito's
We have
motion.
a first and second. Jan, if you would, roll call vote one more time.
yeah. Bob Leahy?
Yes.
Jason Brewer?
Yes.
Tim Heiss?
Yes.
Tito Frias?
Yes.
And item on new business.
If I may, just to explain to people, like, because sometimes we get some, feedback that like, well, you guys are spending too much money. This is something we decided on a couple of years ago. We had a total amount set aside to provide facade grants because we want a better looking place to live. We've given some funds out. We still have funds available for that. So it's not anything new. It's just approving the use of money that we've already voted on.
Right.
A lot of allocated.
Very correct. And the last one is the ordinance 2023-16, which is the elected official salary ordinance. This is on the first reading. No changes for the fourth year on the mayor's salary. No changes on the council either. Sorry. But you guys can change it if you want. I propose changes for the clerk treasurer role. And then there was also changes for the city judge, as we've discussed previously, with the tremendous increase in workload that they've encountered. So those are basically the two changes on the floor with regard to 2024. So I would open it up to comments, questions, thoughts. If any. If not, I'll open it to.
My usual comment.
Why is your face so red?
I can use my usual comment that it has to be a typo.
Has to be a typo.
Yeah, on the ordinance.
Is there a digit missing on yours?
You know what I mean.
What?
Seriously?
Okay, now he's got me paranoid.
No, it's a joke.
Oh! I was like, I'm reading more letter for letter. It's like, okay, where's the typo?
In the numbers. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
Just a little levity.
Well, barring no typos, are there any comments or questions? And if there are none, I would entertain a motion for approval on the first reading.
So just comment before we go move forward. So no increase for us up here. There's
There
no
hasn't
increase.
been an increase all 4 years.
I know, right? So, and there is an increase for the judge because we are handling cases that are sent to us now from Winchester,
Correct.
right? That's a
Right.
big change. That's a lot of extra work. And we're getting some of that money. We've charged them,
Correct.
charged Winchester for some of those costs. What else? That's it, right? Basically.
Well, yeah, and the clerk treasurer role. is
And
an
the clerk
increase.
treasurer also.
And that's to keep them competitive with.
So that has gone up a little bit.
Yes, correct.
Okay. And the clerk treasurer, I know, works late hours more than I would, or any of us would like. I just think that, we're talking about a dedicated civil servant here, so
And a very critical role.
with a critical role, right? So I move that we approve ordinance. This is the second reading.
The first reading.
So ordinance 23
-16.
16 on first reading. My title only.
Very good. We have a first, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Jan, if you would.
Bob Leahy?
Yes.
Jason Brewer?
Yes.
Tim Heiss?
Yes.
Tito Frias?
Yes.
Any visitors wishing to address the board at this time? If not, our next council meeting will be Monday, October 23rd. We only have 2 more council meetings after that before we light at the park, so I just thought I'd throw that out there. So I'm going to be throwing out some volunteer dates for everybody to help at the park soon. October 23rd at 6 p.m. The next Board of Public Works meeting will also be October 23rd at 1 p.m. I would hereby entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
We have first, we have a second.
I'll second.
Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.